Let's talk about Dave Chappelle. Big shout out to Uncle Tom the Movie. Uncle Tom the Movie is coming out June 19th. Make sure you go to uncletom.com so you can get all the information. I'm in the movie. Candace is in the movie. Colonel West is in the movie. Larry Elder's in the movie. Damani Felder's in the movie. We can go down the list of high-powered voices that is in the movie Uncle Tom. You do not want to miss this. I already saw the movie, and the preview of the movie that I saw, I literally cried during this movie. So you don't want to miss Uncle Tom. June the 19th is coming out. UncleTom.com. Go visit it. And make sure you like, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notification anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment on this video. I need you to share this video. And let's get into this. Dave Chappelle. Let me start by saying this. I have always loved Dave Chappelle. I felt like Dave Chappelle was one of the funniest people that I've ever seen, all the way back to the movie Half Baked. Dave Chappelle was my boy from Half Baked. David Chappelle's stand-up comedy is funny when he's the black-white supremacist. All of these things that he's done have been epic, 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 epic. And I love Dave Chappelle. But this documentary or this little stand-up comedy series called the Dave Chappelle Stand-Up 846, which is labeled after the amount of time that Officer Chauvin was on George Floyd's neck. Why he need to put that in there during this comedy skit, I have no idea. He don't even know the guy, have no connection, but he's using his death, I guess, I don't know, to sell tickets or to make a fuss. I don't know. I'm not in the man's mind. I don't think he should have done it. I think he should have talked about things that were funny to make everybody laugh in a time of desperate need of some type of clarity and relief from the stress. But Dave Chappelle did not do that. Now, let me clarify that like this. If back in the old Brandon, before I got saved, growing up in the all-black community, Afrocentric mentality, I went to an all-black school, the old Brandon Tatum would have watched this Dave Chappelle skit and would have been like, yeah, that's right. It's time that we stand up. Our people have been oppressed for so long. Screw this country if you don't know what's going on with the black people. I would have been that guy. But after maturing as an adult, being a father, being saved, filled with the Holy Spirit, after all of those things, gaining experience, becoming a police officer, going to a university that was majority white, having exposure to the real world, coming out of that cloud and that mentality of black guilt, black victimhood, all of the above, I now see what Dave Chappelle did as the problem with the black community, as the biggest issue that people like Candace Owens consistently speaks about. When you have a person of his stature who can come out and make jokes about situations and make fun of people and do all that, come out and try to be serious in a complete SJW manner. Now you can go back and watch this video. I'm not going to put any of it in this video specifically because it'll be copywritten and I don't want to get thrown off of YouTube. So he goes down the list of talking about popular shootings that occurred involving police officers. Mind you, he haven't spoken about not one black person that has died from any other situation, not even by black cops. He only spoke about black people who died at the hands of white officers. And 99% of the people he was talking about were all justified shootings. The only person that has not been deemed justified at this moment is George Floyd that he spoke about. He spoke about Philando Castile. Philando Castile was not completely innocent, and the officer was justified in the use of force according to the law, according to the courts. But Philando Castile wasn't a legal gun owner. Every time I get a chance to dispel that, I will. Philando Castile lied on his application for his CCW because he was under the influence of illegal drugs at the time he got his CCW. He lied. And then while he was driving in the car when he got pulled over, he was in possession of illegal drugs while carrying a firearm in violation of the CCW and in violation of gun ownership or carrying a firearm, which is an aggravated charge. He wasn't innocent. Breonna Taylor, knee deep in the drug game. He mentioned Alton Sterling, even though he didn't say his name. He spoke about Alton Sterling, the person who was shot in Baton Rouge, a convicted felon, registered sex offender, who was committing piracy, which is a felony offense, and then he pulled a gun on somebody, which is an aggravated assault, and then when the cops got there, they were wrestling him, and he pulled a gun out on the cops, and they shot him. Every person that Dave Chappelle spoke about were guilty individuals with justified use of force against them, except Trayvon Martin, because he wasn't killed by police officers. It was by a random Hispanic and white guy who decided to take the law in his own hands. And then he spoke about 2 other individuals who went on crazy rampages. One of them was an NYPD officer. I forget the guy's name. He had gotten fired because I guess he told on somebody, which there's no way of verifying that. Maybe he's a piece of crap because he went on a shooting spree afterwards. So maybe he didn't have his scruples together. Maybe he wasn't a good cop. Maybe he was an example of the bad cops. Maybe that's why they fired him. Oh, because he's black, it don't count. Then he spoke shortly about the gentleman that decided that he was going to take the lives of police officers in Dallas, Texas, doing a rampage thing because of Black Lives Matter and what happened in Ferguson. So Dave Chappelle failed. If I can get to that point, he failed in the arena of a higher intelligence. On low thinking, low IQ people, they probably love what he said. He did a good job. I did not like what he said about Candace Owens. He called her the B word. He said that she had a stanky, you know what? I know he was joking about the first thing, but when he called her a B word and said she was the worst, I feel like that came from his heart, and I don't think that was right. He called Laura Ingraham a bad word as well. He spoke ill will and said negative things about white people generally. And I feel like to keep that same energy, if a white man was to do exactly what Dave Chappelle did, they'd be throwing him off the stage and they'd be calling him all kind of names. I do not like what I saw from Dave Chappelle. I just don't like it. It did not bring the country together. It did not even make anybody laugh. Like, he may have had 2 jokes in there. 2 jokes. The rest of it was him trying to be serious, him really coming out like a SJW and vilifying the police, vilifying America, and uplifting these black criminals. That's just not kosher to me, man. That's just not cool. I wish, and I don't know the motives behind it, because I don't know if he's been forced to do this, because in the comedy skit, he had mentioned that people were coming after him. Even Don Lemon were coming after celebrities who weren't speaking up about George Floyd. Obviously, he was one of them. So I don't know if they put him up to doing it. They paid him a lot of money to do it. Was this his opportunity to speak up because he hadn't given his voice? But at the end of the day, man, I really do think that this was bad for black people. This revealed the underlying issues and how black people think, and the reason why it's detrimental and why black people have struggled all the way from the 60s till now. I think black people are probably struggling more now psychologically than they were in the 60s when there was Jim Crow. Because to think that it doesn't matter what George Floyd does, he didn't deserve to lose his life, so nothing that he did in his life counts. The fact that he did a home invasion, robbing another brown person at gunpoint, pistol whipping her, that doesn't matter. Going to jail 9 times doesn't matter. Being high on methamphetamines and fentanyl, that doesn't matter. Well, in the court of law, it may matter. In the court of law, they may determine that the knee wasn't what killed him. It was that he had lethal amounts of illegal drugs in his system. Then everybody gonna be crying and gonna be sad because they didn't sit down and evaluate the facts and the truth before they made a judgment and acted on their emotions. I really do believe, and I wish that Dave Chappelle and others would see this, that black people are not oppressed in the United States of America today. Maybe back in the day they were oppressed, but today you're not oppressed. You're not oppressed. It's in your mind. Because if you get it out of your mind like I did, sky's the limits for you. You see how many followers I got on the YouTube channel? I wouldn't have no followers if I was stuck in that brainwash mentality that I had to work extra hard to get anywhere, that the white man was holding me down. That ain't gonna get you nowhere, brother. Open your mind up, open your perspective, listen to people like me and others that you may not agree with, and then you'll come around. And as you release that slave mentality from your mind, as you release that Afrocentric brainwashing from your mind, you will begin to prosper. I guarantee you, or I will give your money back. You will begin to prosper. You will begin to see the world in a better light. You will become friends and have more partnerships and networking than you ever had before. And people will be entering into your life like God would intend them to, in order to build and put you in a position that God has called you to be. If you're stuck mentally on the black plantation, I'm just going to do this. The white man is this way. God cannot elevate you to where you're supposed to be at. Because in the body of Christ, there is no white, there is no black. We're all children of God. Now, some people may agree, some people may disagree. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know if you like Dave Chappelle's little skit. If you haven't watched it, I'm sure it's somewhere on YouTube. That's where I watched it. Let me know in the comment section. I want to know what you think. Is B. Tatum tripping or am I on to something? Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you visit UncleTom.com, UncleTom.com to see the movie that come out on June the 19th. I will be at the feature of the movie. You better watch the movie. I love you guys. I'll see you. You know what it is.